Ayadidam, bayadidam, yadidam, 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 yadidam. Oh, 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 yamba, yai. Yai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai yai yai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai dai, yai dai dai dai, yai yai yam. Yai dai dai, yai yai yo. Yai dai, yai dai, yai dai dam. Moda ani lefanecha, ruach hai v'kayam, shechezarta binishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha. Moda ani lefanecha, ruach hai v'kayam, shechezarta binishmati bechemla rabba emunatecha. Oh, 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 oh. Boker Tov, good morning. Here we are, Friday once more. It is another gorgeous day out. Not as warm as yesterday, but maybe it will warm up. But when I looked at the forecast, it said rain for 3 days in a row. And so I am happy that it's just sunshine today. It is interesting when you think about how we had like consecutive days of snow, and then all of a sudden everything's melting. It feels like, we're heading into spring, but we only know it's a teaser. And so you're like, oh, it's so nice out. Why can't it just be like this? And then, bam, I'm sure down the road in a few days it'll be freezing, or it'll be snowing, or it'll be, whatever it is. So we need to take this moment as a moment of amazing weather, for sure. That sunshine does a lot for many of us. Just a little bit of sunshine goes a long way. So we're continuing our teaching for Parshat Shemot, the first story, or the first section, the first parsha of the second book of the Torah, the book of Shemot, the book of names. I was talking in Hebrew school. It was actually Georgie and Luca were in class learning together, and we were talking about having a Shem Tov, a good name. And so Georgie asked, like, why is it the book of names? And so they're naming, the different people from the different tribes and taking a census. And he's like, only 12 tribes? How could that be? Like, only 12 families? And so we talked about that for a little while, but then the realization was Shemot, the good name of this book, is the introduction of Moses, who is the good name of the people. But day two's, teaching, we talked on Wednesday, I don't even know what day it is, Wednesday, about these are the names, and being the ability to be seen in a world that erases. And so now we twist a little bit to find courage in our hearts, or find courage in the hearts. And so the second part of the teaching is about midwives and mothers and moral courage. So before Moses encounters God, the sun is so great but striking me in the face here. Before Moses ever encounters God, before plagues, before prophecy, the Torah introduces us to two women. And there are rabbis and congregations where when they do the Mishaberach, the prayer for healing, or the Mishaberach after Torah reading, when you're getting the blessing, that have added these two women's names onto the list of the fathers and the mothers, which are Shifra and Puah. People overlook them all the time, or in just this portion, they mention them and then never again for the entire litany of Torah. But Shifra and Puah are midwives. They have no power, they have no weapons, they have no political standing, and yet, when Pharaoh commands them to kill Hebrew, Jewish, baby boys, they refuse. Pharaoh, the leader, is telling you to kill them, but they refuse. They feared God, and they didn't do as the king of Egypt commanded. They were like, nope, we're not doing that. This is one of the most radical verses in Torah. They don't organize a rebellion. They don't deliver speeches. They simply choose life quietly, repeatedly, and of course, at great risk. And the Torah names them. Those are the names, Shifra and Puah. In a world obsessed with dominant leadership, Shemot teaches that moral courage often belongs to those that history might overlook. Moral courage often belongs to those whose history might otherwise overlook. That is Ometz Lev. That is courage of the heart. Not loud bravery, not fearless heroism, but this steady resolve to say, this is wrong and I'm not participating. Simple as that. The midwives, Shifra and Puah, do not know how the story is going to end. They have no assurance of success. They act because their conscience demands it, not because victory is guaranteed. This is Jewish courage at its core. The Torah then, of course, layers courage upon courage upon courage. A mother who hid her child, a sister who watches over him, a daughter of Pharaoh who notices suffering and intervenes. These acts are small, but really they're huge. These acts are risky, and each act moves the story forward. Redemption does not begin with miracles. It begins with people refusing to numb themselves to cruelty. This teaching matters deeply now. We live in a time when the world is bonkers, bizarre, feeling overwhelming, when injustice feels vast and individual action feels insignificant. Shemot insists otherwise. It teaches that moral clarity does not require scale. It simply requires presence. As we reflect today and as we approach Shabbat, which we will continue tonight with a teaching, but as we are approaching Shabbat, where are we being asked to choose life? Even quietly, even with imperfection. Where are we being asked to choose life? What would it mean to practice Ometz Lev, the courage of the heart? Where would it mean to practice Ometz Lev, not through some grand gesture, but through daily ethical choices? Where? Where in our lives? It requires us to think. It requires us to figure out where we are, maybe who we are, maybe we know who we are, maybe we'll never know who we are. But it encourages us to look within, to say, hey, are the choices I make daily ethical? If so, fantastic. If there are things that are still able to be changed, can we look at them? Quietly, imperfectly, a place of courage of the heart. To choose life, to choose what's right, to do what's ethical, even if it feels like I don't need to organize a rebellion. I don't have to stand on some podium. To simply choose life quietly over and over. Not with loud bravery, not with some fearless heroism, but with the steady resolve to say, I'm showing up for this, and I'm not going to participate in that. Thank you for joining me, Susan, Bet, Elisa, Andrea, Geneva. We ask ourselves, we do the work, we continue to learn from one another. And we're going to come back tonight, and we're going to talk about who am I to lead, saying yes when we feel maybe unready to do so, right? The words of humility. Like Moses grows up in two worlds, right? The good name, Hebrew and Egyptian, and never really feels at home. But we unpack it together tonight because it begins with the idea. My throat. We begin with the idea that as humans, I guess, but as Jews specifically, it begins when people are named, when dignity is protected, when courage chooses life, when leaders step forward, trembling with apprehension, but honest. It's not ancient history. It's the blueprint. As we approach Shabbat, may we be strengthened. May we see one another clearly. May we answer the call, not because we're sure of it, but because we care. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you. Thank you for joining me this morning. I will see you back here tonight at 6:30. I look forward to being back with you. And together, we're going to keep learning. We're going to keep showing up. We live in a world so uncertain, so crazy. But one thing we know for sure is we have each other. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Od Avinu Chai. Shabbat Shalom. Let's see each other tonight at 6:30. Be well, everyone.